Welcome back to week 2, Geography 243, Remote Sensing 1. This is our week 2 overview, and I want to say a couple words about week 3 also. So we sort of start with what we've done so far, and then where we are this week, and where we're going to be over the next week or so. So last week, as you know, we did a kind of a brief introduction to remote sensing as a technology and a way of doing research, science, geoscience, and a bit of an overview, a little bit of history. And what's important, I think, to take from that is the integration of remote sensing into GIS, and remote sensing and GIS more or less being joined during the 1990s, 1980s, 1990s, and then pretty much fully after the new millennium. And in remote sensing, it should be clear that we do principally use the raster data model, although we at times integrate vector data sets with our raster data. And we did start on our activity 1, where you're learning how to download and handle multi-channel, very, very contemporary Landsat data right up to the present day, starting in 1972. So a huge data set that we have access to, and that really is our principal data set that we use in this course, and it's the principal data set that's used in virtually all introductory remote sensing courses. And so this week we have a presentation on some other material presentation, again still putting some of the fundamentals in place, starting with our diagram, figure 1.1 in our text. Energy sources, principally the sun, but not always the sun, passive and active energy sources. And then as this energy starts passing through the atmosphere, what happens in the atmosphere? Is it scattered? Is it absorbed? Or is it transmitted through the atmosphere, maybe selectively scattered by wavelength, or absorbed selectively by wavelength? And then what happens at the surface of the Earth? Is it reflected, or is it absorbed and then emitted? Maybe energy is emitted later on. In the case of solar energy, there's a lot of things that can happen, or it can also be transmitted through transparent medium or partially transparent medium, such as water, and then reflected and then sensed. Ultimately, that's ultimately where we're headed. Sensed by a sensor, in our case, a digital sensor operating in outer space mainly, although there are sensors that operate in the atmosphere, and aircraft and unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, known as more commonly as drones. So there's a lot of things that happen, but we're going to look at the first part of that diagram 1.1 in our text. And then there's also some media this week, a couple of different things that we're going to take a look at. We have a podcast from Radiolab called Colors, and then there's another media link I'm going to put in here for remote sensing from the International Space Station. There's some interesting projects that are going on the International Space Station that it's kind of interesting to see how many different forms of remote sensing are taking place at the very in certainly on International Space Station. Much of what's happening there is pretty much experimental and takes place as a experimental developing new technologies, that sort of thing. Next week, we will post our material a little bit earlier. I'm going to post material on Sunday evening, this coming Sunday evening, yes, it's the 19th. And I'll send out a notice when I do that. And that material, again, is going further with some of the, just going through that diagram 1.1 and going through the whole process, but also looking more closely at the Landsat program, the Landsat project, its history, the history of the sensors, and the data that we have available from those sensors. Really important data set in the U.S. Geological Survey and their partner NASA that they work with. And the reason I'm posting on Sunday, I'll full disclosure, I'll share with you. I have a friend, geologist who I've known for 40 years or so, who is a legendary hiker. He's hiked the Pacific Crest Trail completely from Mexico to Canada, and the Appalachian Trail, and he's doing the Appalachian Trail again this summer. But right now he's in the process of finishing the Florida Trail, which goes from I believe the Alabama-Florida line all the way down through the state to Big Cypress Swamp down way down south in the Everglades. And I'm going to go on Monday and join him for 4 days and hike him as he's finishing the Florida Trail. So I'm going to be hiking along Lake Kissimmee, and I'm going to be in a dark skies area in central Florida where there's not much out there other than cows and grass and that kind of stuff. So I will be out of touch Monday through Thursday. I would normally be posting Activity 2 with the Wednesday posting, but since I'm posting on Sunday, I'm going to wait to post Activity 2 until Thursday of when I get back on Thursday afternoon. I'll be posting it late in the day on Thursday. So that's pretty much where we are. It's week 2, and again, contact me. We do have office hours tomorrow afternoon. I'll be sending you a Zoom notice of office hours, and if you're having issues with your lab, you can contact me regarding that. Also, don't forget about our teaching assistant, Roxana Lewicki, who has office hours on Tuesday and Thursday, and those are posted on the syllabus. And where the location is, it's in, I believe, room 3135 in the GIS lab on the third floor of the Deatskin /990 Fullerton building. So week 2, remote sensing 1. So hopefully I'll be hearing from some of you guys soon. If not, hopefully, if you're not having any problems, no reason to contact me, but I'd be happy to hear from any of you. So contact me during office hours, or if there's some other time that would be more convenient for you to to talk. Just give me an email and we can chat. Talk to you soon.